14-year-old Linda Smith was abducted from her home on June 14th, 1981 in Pocatello, Idaho. Her younger brother witnessed the abduction and was able to give the police a description of the abductor and his van. Unfortunately, police did not believe Linda was abducted until a year later when her skeletal remains were found. Hey everybody, welcome to True Crime Paranormal with the Psychic Sisters. I'm Christy Brower, here with my sister, co-host, and partner in crime, Katie Weaver. Hey Katie, how's it going?
Hello, I'm well. I'm so entertained by this story out of Boise, Idaho tonight about the little boy getting his book into the library.
Oh yes, isn't it cute? I
Oh my
know, I thought
gosh.
so too.
I know we're true crime around here, but you guys, this is the cutest story. So, in
It
a
is.
nutshell, 8-year-old little dude, he's a second grader. He loves to write, he loves to draw, and he's been working for quite a while on a comic book that he wrote. Started it over Christmas break, and it's become an 88-page book now that he has created a cover for and a spine and everything for. And he called it The Adventures of Dylan Helsbig's Christmas, Chrismis, by Dylan Helberg himself. That's what the cover says. Well,
So cute.
Dylan decided he would now like to have his book in the library. So he
Right,
snuck his
as
book
you
into the
would.
library. Yep, on a trip to the library with his grandma, and he snuck it onto a shelf. And then later that evening announced to his family that you can now check out his book at the library. So his mom called the library because she didn't want his book to get thrown away, and they found it, had it, and well, they did send it through their requirements for being accepted as a book in the library, and they accepted it. And it's now there's 125 people waiting to check out Dylan's book and read it. Isn't that
So
great?
cute. Oh my gosh, what an awesome kid.
So, way to go, Dylan, you wild man. You got your
Yeah.
book in the library.
Yeah, I mean, he wanted to be published and he wanted it to be right now.
Hmm.
I
Well,
love
and
it.
now a children's book publisher has stepped forward and wants to work with him. And, I think we'll all be buying Dylan's book here at some point.
I think we will. What a
Hmm.
cutie. Oh my gosh.
Hmm.
I love that. Like, well, I'll just take it in the library and put it on the shelf. Duh.
Right?
Like, this
Just took
doesn't
his
have to
book.
be hard.
Well, right? That's what you do, right? So, there you go.
Apparently, it is. I love it.
Before lots of crime, we just lifted you up a little bit.
Right?
So we can. No, I'm kidding. A little
Now,
bit.
listen, we bring crime to light for good things, to help solve cases, help people
Yes.
get found, help people's families get the help that they kind of need. The kind of help that they need, not that they kind of need.
But they like
Got
really
that
need.
backwards.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not to crush your hearts like bugs, but
right.
we know it happens sometimes.
Yes, yes, it does.
It happens to
Uh,
us too.
but I love that. That's super cute.
I'm in love.
That kid has definitely got quite a future.
I would love to meet his parents because they must be cool as hell.
Yeah, they must
Honestly,
be.
have this kid doing this stuff. Yeah.
Well, and just that, mom called the library like, "Oh, hey, please don't throw that away."
Right.
But I love that the library was like, "Hey, we'll just take it as a real book. It's all good."
Well, they have a bunch of criteria for a book. It's supposed to have reviews that they can review, and this book doesn't have reviews, so they put it through a bunch of other criteria, and it passed them all. So,
Well, there you go.
I mean, they sent it through
Nice.
their board. They didn't just grab it. They said, "Okay, well, we'll critique this book," and they did, and he passed.
Hey, I'll write a review.
Right?
Just kidding. I haven't read the book yet, so I gotta go down the list.
Yeah. Well, you're going to wait over a year at this point.
That is crazy. It's so cute.
Yep.
All right. Well, that is super cute.
I
And
love it.
now why don't we jump right in because we
Mm-hmm.
have 3 cases to cover tonight. And
Mm-hmm.
Katie, I know you have a missing person spotlight for us.
Yes. This precious little girl is Serenity Ann McKinney. You guys are going to find this case to
What a
be
cute face.
reminiscent of another missing child's case, the Harmony Montgomery case out of New Hampshire. This is Serenity Ann McKinney, also a missing child who's about 4 years old, missing from Kentucky.
Mm,
She also has been missing for quite a span of time, and we're just
mm,
now learning about it. Family's been frantic for a while and have been trying to make some noise and be heard, and it finally took Serenity's family, her mother's family, and her mother's boyfriend's family teaming up to get the attention of law enforcement to really get something going here.
gosh.
It took a lot of voices. So Serenity was last seen in person on Christmas Eve 2020.
Oh, no.
Now, Grandpa says that right before Father's Day 2021, he spoke with her on the phone, but they had not seen her and didn't know where she was. So her grandparents have worried and worried, tried to get something going. They've called CPS multiple times and asked for welfare checks. It sounds like there were some welfare checks where CPS came and visited with the parents mom and mom's boyfriend, who didn't produce Serenity, and CPS didn't follow up. Unfortunately, this is another dropped case in the
Oh,
system.
no. Come
Yeah,
on, CPS. You've got one job here.
yeah,
And I know that's an unfair statement.
mhm,
However, to
yeah,
actually see the child,
yeah.
get real.
How can we not at least do that?
Right.
So they are saying that her missing date is December 24th, 2020, because that is the last time anyone actually laid physical eyes on her.
Wow.
Uh, she's missing from Shelby, Jefferson, or Bullitt County areas of Kentucky.
Mm,
She's a white female with blonde hair and blue eyes. I think she looks quite a bit like Harmony Montgomery
she does
and Harmony
actually.
and Serenity. I mean, it's just,
I know the names also, I thought the
yeah.
same.
So again, we believe she has not been seen in more than a year. So part of what what law enforcement said when they first announced that this child was missing was that they were not receiving cooperation from mom and mom's boyfriend. Well, not only that, mom and boyfriend fled.
Mm,
So Dakota Hill, and in the news they're calling her Catherine McKinney, but she actually goes by Abby McKinney. I
okay.
guess Catherine is her first name, but she goes by Abby. And they were picked up in Kansas. So this is them. This is Dakota and Abby. And sources close to Abby say that Abby's pregnant.
Oh
So
boy.
I hope
But
that's
when they
not
were
the
picked up,
case.
there was no Serenity, huh?
No Serenity. No Serenity. So they are preparing to extradite them back to Kentucky. They are being charged the very same way Lori Vallow was charged,
Okay.
and that's with custodial interference.
Yeah.
Why? Because the state was trying to take custody of Serenity, and these two interfered with that. That's what that charge basically means, but it's an attempt
Yeah.
to get them back to the state and start making them talk, of course,
Right.
and figure
It's
out.
an attempt to make them produce the child.
Yeah. So, I apparently, according to the family at least, Abby has really, really changed a lot since she started dating Dakota. And there's sounds like it's likely that drugs are involved here. And Abby she moved in with Dakota, and her family really, really didn't want that. He was abusive before she moved in with Dakota. They begged her
Mm,
not to do that. But according to some family members, he had laid down an ultimatum that either you move in with me or we break up. I did see a post this evening from a friend of Dakota's. that they discovered Dakota and Abby living homeless earlier this year or last year and took them into their home for a certain amount of time. And there was no harmony then. And this girl
Mm.
didn't know them very well. And I think didn't really know to, like ask them. She said they did say that they had a daughter named Serenity that was living with parents. And, she didn't have any reason to doubt that.
Right.
They were homeless, you know. So to think that she was living with grandparents or parents didn't really, you know, didn't really click for her that something was wrong. And,
Right.
I don't know why it would really.
It wouldn't in that particular situation, although
Hmm.
I'm still pretty stunned that CPS
Yeah,
managed to speak to them and they did
yeah,
not produce the child, and CPS did not follow up.
yeah,
That's
yeah, for
damn
sure.
not good.
So it's a very hard situation. It is, like I said, it's similar to Harmony or yeah, to Harmony Montgomery in a
Yeah.
lot of ways. And again, I mean, no one's laid eyes on her in more than a year. And I think that's extremely troubling.
Yes, it is.
So, obviously, if you are in the Kentucky area, please pay especially close attention to this case.
Yeah.
But everyone needs to pay close attention to this case, and we will. This is just us opening an investigation on it, and
Right.
we're going to keep tracking it and watching it and see what goes on here. So, I'm going to show you her face one more time. Look how freaking cute she is.
So cute.
Yeah. And again, her name is Serenity Ann McKinney, and she's
Such
4
a
years old.
mischievous little face.
I know. She's darling. Yeah. So, with that, I am going to hand the mic back over to you for our main case.
Okay. And our main case tonight is an old case that is local to us that has hit the news again
Mm-hmm.
lately because of another podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And so, because of that, we felt like we should cover it as well since it's local to us. This
Yeah.
is the case of the murder of Linda Smith.
Yeah.
So, Linda Smith was 14 years old
Mm-hmm.
when she was abducted from her home on June 14th. This was in 1981. This was in Pocatello, Idaho, which is about 50 miles from where I live. It's where I
Mm-hmm.
went to college. On the day of the abduction, her younger brother, Ben, actually witnessed the abduction. He was kind of asleep in a recliner in their living room, and this man comes out of Linda's bedroom carrying her, and she's fighting, trying to get away from him,
Mm-hmm.
and hauls her out the back door of their house. This is a point that's always been of interest because Ben has said that you would have to be familiar with their house to know to go out
Mm-hmm.
to the back. Carried her out the back door and out into their backyard and had his van sitting in the alleyway at the back of their yard
Mm-hmm.
and put her in his van. It was a black van with flames down the sides. Boy, didn't we see a lot of those in the 80s. And took off with her.
Yeah.
So they didn't even have a phone at home. And
Yeah.
so Ben ran across the street to the neighbors, said, I need to borrow your phone. I need to call 911. He said that he remembered learning at school that whenever something bad happened, you needed to remember to call 911.
Yeah.
And so he did. And the police came and talked to him, and they didn't believe him. They said that they were pretty sure that Linda probably just ran away and she'd
Mm-hmm.
come home in a few days.
How
How many
many
freaking times? That just makes me so damn mad.
Mm-hmm.
Because Ben had a cursory description of the man
And the van.
and the vehicle.
And that wasn't, there were plenty of weird ass flames running around, but I mean, still, a
But yeah,
black
I mean
van with
that
flames, that's pretty descriptive.
it is. Plus it was a man with long blonde hair. So they just did not believe him. So they took no evidence from the house. They didn't take this was in 81, and so this was before a lot of evidence, a lot of forensics, but I mean, they certainly could have taken fingerprints, figured out how did he get into the house in the first place. Well, unfortunately,
Interviewed
this
the
was
neighbors.
back in the days when nobody locked their damn house.
Yeah.
We still live in an area where people don't often lock their houses.
Mhm.
I do, but, not everybody does. And there's a lot of trust in this area that is maybe,
Dubious.
yeah,
Yeah.
dubious. There you go. That's a good word for it. So the house was not locked. So this person could have literally just walked through a door,
Mhm.
maybe walked through that back door, or, probably walked through the back door because there was, the van was parked in the alleyway. So, and this pisses me off, but in one article I read, the police said that Linda had run away once for one day before. So they
Mhm.
were pretty much like, she'll just come back. The other thing that they'd said was that the family, this was a single mom, Linda's mom,
Mhm.
was raising her children on her own, and that they were poor and really struggling. So she probably just ran away.
Oh my God.
Like, oh, ugh, this stuff makes me so pissed. Ugh.
Mhm.
And it doesn't surprise me. I mean, that sounds a lot like the way the police would have talked around here in the
Oh,
80s.
definitely. Yep.
I'm not saying that stuff doesn't get said now because it still does, but it's a little
Well, they
better.
were one of the up and coming families, so
Right. And the thing that I don't understand is whether she ran off or she was abducted. She's 14 years old and they can't find her. She's a
right,
minor. She's at risk.
right,
Still look for her. Why
right.
why is it that if a girl runs away, then that instantly means that she's safe? Well, she's freaking not. She was
Not safe.
14. She was a kid.
A 14-year-old
Uh,
out there on their own is definitely not safe,
no.
especially
So,
because if they're with other people, those people don't have the good sense to contact her parents to bring her home or the police.
right.
So, she's not safe.
No, definitely not safe. So they did not talk to the neighbors. They took no forensic evidence from the house. They did not look for the van. They didn't even look for Linda.
Yeah.
They didn't even look for Linda when, a few weeks after she went missing, a bunch of her clothes were found thrown sort of off to the side of the road on an off ramp in the area. Didn't dawn on them that, hey, maybe that's weird.
Mhm. Maybe
The clothes,
something's wrong.
she was wearing the day she went missing suddenly turn up
Mhm.
in a ditch. So then a
That's
year goes by.
normal.
Yeah, totally normal. Then a year goes by and skeletal remains are found up on Hospital Way, which is kind of up above the city, in a ravine. And the skeletal remains belong to guess who? Linda Smith. They
Yeah.
matched them with her dental records. So now, a whole year later, they suddenly realize, oh, well, maybe she was abducted.
Gosh.
Unfortunately, this case has gone nowhere, as you can imagine, because they took no evidence and made no effort to look when she went missing. And so now this
Yeah.
case is already a year cold, and Linda is dead when the police actually start looking into what happened to her.
Yeah. Her poor brother.
Yeah,
Her poor
he's
brother. Can
had
you imagine?
he has had some serious mental health problems
Well, sure.
and post-traumatic stress disorder, all kinds of stuff his whole life because thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Well, here's a thing to know. Around that time, there were some other girls that went missing.
Mhm.
One of them was Lynette Culver, who is believed to be a victim of Ted Bundy. Although her
That's
body has
right.
never been found, Bundy confessed to her murder in 1989.
Mhm.
But her body has never been found, and the Pocatello police are not 100% sure that, that it was Bundy. They've never been able to prove it.
Right.
I mean, they did at least find Linda's body.
Mm-hmm.
And then there were 2 others outside of Ted Bundy, and these are girls we have covered. This is Tina Anderson and Patty Campbell,
Yes.
and we have covered them in the
Mhm.
past. All these girls went missing in, like, a 4-year period.
Yeah.
And the, Tina Anderson and Patty Campbell, their remains were found in 1981 in October, and
By
in
some
Oneida County.
hunters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they were skeletal remains as well.
Mhm.
So there are some questions around, is there anybody else that might have, that might have been active in that time? Although we
Well,
did do a read on Patty and
Mhm.
Tina. There
There
was
was also a thought that there was another missing teenager.
yes,
When those
Cindy
girls went
Bringhurst.
missing, yes, from the park, there was a dad there that was looking for his daughter too.
Yeah.
Remember this?
So, well, yes. Oh, but no, that's not this girl. Cindy Bringhurst went missing in 1983.
Oh, no, I'm talking about a girl that went missing the same time.
That's right. And I don't have a name on that one.
Nobody does. Nobody does because uh, when one of the dads was looking for those missing girls and looking at the park for them, uh,
Mhm.
there was another dad looking for his teenage daughter that he also could not find. But they were presumably not legal to be in this country.
That's right.
And there's a real presumption there that there was another missing teenager that didn't get reported to
That
the
never got
police.
reported. That's
Hmm.
right. So that would make 5 girls from
Hmm.
1978 to 1983.
Hmm.
So questions, because none of them are actually solved.
No, none.
Ted Bundy said that he killed Lynette Culver, but we don't know for sure that he did.
Mm-mm.
He did not actually lead investigators to her body.
No.
So around that period of time, there are 5.
Hmm.
Very interesting.
Hmm.
So how did this come about that we talked about this case right now? Because it's 2022.
Yeah.
Well, a podcast called The Deck. And The Deck is produced and hosted by Ashley Flowers, and she is from Crime Junkie, if you're familiar. She
Hmm.
has a new podcast called The Deck. The Deck is covering, I don't know if you know this or not, but a lot of states, ours included,
Hmm.
has a deck of playing cards in which every card has a picture of a missing person or an unsolved crime
Hmm.
on it, this person and all of their information. And those are handed out to inmates in the prisons in the States, encouraging people to give information if they know something about one of these crimes.
Hmm.
And Linda Smith is the 9 of Hearts in Idaho.
Hmm.
And so that's why this is coming up right now, is because the deck just did Linda Smith's case.
Yeah.
So, kind of funnily about it, the Pocatello police have come out with a statement,
A bit
slightly
rough. Yeah.
defensively, I would say,
Hmm.
basically saying that Linda Smith's case is still open
Hmm.
and they are still investigating it. I know that they took it back up pretty significantly in 2007.
Hmm.
And they have looked at her bones. They've worked with Idaho State University's anthropology department. That's where
Hmm.
Katie and I both went to college.
Hmm.
Um, Here's the problem. And they have acknowledged that the police at the time made a big mistake.
Hmm.
They didn't see Linda Smith's case as an abduction, and so they did not take any evidence. So the hard part for the police now is they don't have any forensic evidence to work from
Hmm.
at all except her body.
Hmm.
So,
Yes, but I really take exception to something that they said in their statement.
mhm,
And it was a bit of a miffed, kind of a passive aggressive comment, I felt like, in that they said, that they have not released certain information, I felt like kind of throwing it out there that the deck did, because there's things they haven't released because at some point they might be able to use those to get a conviction. No,
Give me a break.
no.
Let's get
It
real.
has been 40 years?
40 years, you
40
guys.
years. We're not holding out for a conviction. We want the case to be solved. So all of the evidence, all of the information should be on the freaking table. So that
Right.
if somebody knows something, if that jogs somebody's memory, it should be thrown out here. We're not talking about a case that's 2 years old, for Christ's sake. Not
No.
only that, while it is still an open investigation, there's nothing to investigate. Why
No.
not put every ounce of evidence out there to see if we
Right?
can get something to stick? Why not start throwing
Jogs
the noodles at the wall?
somebody's
I don't get
memory.
it. Yeah, that to really rub me the wrong way. This isn't a young case. This is a very old case. Get the information out there. There's
Right.
no reason to hold any cards now.
I agree. I absolutely agree. At least if there could be some kind of solution for Linda's brother Ben, because he's still holding the torch for this.
Yeah.
He has struggled so much because of it.
And
And
he was the rock star that did the right thing and then got slapped right back in the face. I'm so
yeah,
mad for him, the way this
I
was treated,
know.
the way he was treated.
Right. It's not right. And the Pocatello police have acknowledged that.
They have.
However, begrudgingly, I think a little bit. But yeah, I mean, come on. At least put the information out there and use this case as an example of why you always investigate a missing kid.
Yep.
Always.
Always.
I
Every
don't
time.
care if they've run away 10 times. You still investigate them because
Mhm.
they're still children. Even if they ran away, they're
Mhm.
still at risk. That does
Right.
not magically make them
And
safe.
frankly, if they are a runaway and you want to drag them home and charge them and put them in juvie for a minute to try to help them straighten out their stuff and figure out what's going on in their life to try to keep them from running away again, fine.
Right.
But quit acting like 14-year-old runaways are just fine and dandy.
Right. Like that somehow makes them safe if they chose to go somewhere.
Yeah.
Because you know who they chose to go with? Adults. That's who they chose to go
Adults.
with because they went with somebody who's got money and a
Yep.
car. And you know
Yep.
what? That's not another 14-year-old kid, is it?
Mm-mm. No.
No. So,
Adults who are willing to hide them, which tells you everything you need to
yeah,
know.
yeah, it definitely does.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we're covering Linda Smith. It's an
Okay.
interesting case. It's a very frustrating case.
Yeah.
We will keep you updated, although I kind of doubt there's going to be a resolution here. There's no DNA to go on.
No.
If there was DNA, this could be a DNA for the win case. There isn't any. There's no
Mm-mm.
fingerprints. There's no nothing,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately. But it
And
is a good example of why we need to always pressure law enforcement to investigate every single missing child.
mm-hmm. Yep.
And to remember that 14-year-old girls are children.
Yep.
They're not young women living their
Mm-hmm.
lives, as though this
No.
seems to come out a lot. It is not
Mm-hmm.
true. They're children
No.
that cannot protect themselves and that are unable to identify people who are unsafe for them. Yeah.
They can't be expected to be allowed to just run away and be gone and be fine any more than they can have consensual sex.
Right.
None of those things. This is the other thing we just keep hearing in the news, consensual sex. That's
Yeah.
called rape. Like we have to start
Yeah.
saying things
Yeah.
correctly.
Non-consensual. It was non-consensual consensual sex. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
rape.
Yeah.
Hello.
Well,
The
or consensual
terminology.
sex with a minor. Yeah.
Yes.
No, that's
Or an
rape.
underage woman. I've heard that
Yes.
one too.
Mhm.
An underage woman is a child. Oh
Mhm.
my god. So
We have
yeah,
to
this
start
case is
saying things correctly and making our news sites say things correctly. And this is
yes, we
one
do.
of those kinds of things.
It is. It
Yeah.
definitely is because there was just an assumption made about this child who
Mhm.
disappeared and she lost her life
Yeah.
because of it. And we don't know if the police would have found her before she'd been killed. And we can't say that. We can't hold
Well,
them
they would have
accountable for
had a
that, but
hell
we
of a
can
lot
hold
better chance if they would have tried.
right. Yeah, we can hold them accountable for actual trying. So that's the Linda Smith case. Definitely go listen to the deck and listen to this case on the deck. It's very good, very interesting. They even went to Pocatello and took a picture of the house she grew up in. We didn't. We we both
Yeah.
went to college in Pocatello. We're quite familiar with the area. But, obviously, one more case that teaches us
Yep.
about how missing children should be handled.
For sure.
So, with that being said, Katie, I heard a rumor that you have a WTF crime for us.
Oh, I sure do. Well, WTF, guys. This lady, now if you lived where I live, you'd say she looked like she's the Relief Society president.
Pretty much,
Right? Well, she's a nun.
Oh,
She's a nun. She was the principal of an elementary school in California, Torrance Elementary, for a really long time, something like more than 20 years.
oh, wow.
She also has a pretty nasty gambling addiction.
Oh, dear.
And because of that gambling addiction, for the last 10 years, she has now finally retired. She's 80 years old. For the last 10 years, she has been embezzling money from that school,
Oh, gosh.
stealing tuition checks, donations, lots of stuff. She has managed to pilfer $800,000.
Oh, my God. That's a lot of money.
Mhm.
Wow. And undetected? That much money?
Her vice principal was basically helping cover for her. Another nun
Oh.
who they
Oh, dear.
chose not to charge, though it sounds like they probably could have. They both retired. And once they retired, then it started occurring to people that were taking over there that the books had been getting cooked for quite a while.
Oh my gosh, that is so much money.
Well, that money was going for trips to Lake Tahoe and Las Vegas, for gambling
Oh,
trips to cover old gambling debts and to pay credit card bills for gambling.
oh my gosh.
hmm What do you think? What kind of a sentence would you suppose somebody would get for embezzling $800,000?
10 years?
Maybe. I mean, the recommended is 20 per count. They charged her with 2 counts. It could have been many, many, many more. But
Right.
the Catholic Church didn't want to charge her at all. But the
That
prosecutor's
sounds
office
familiar.
did so anyway. She pled guilty. And she was in court on Monday. Monday. To ask the judge to show mercy and spare her from prison. Remember, she is 80 years old.
Oh my gosh.
She said, I have sinned, I have broken the law, and I have no excuses. True. She called her crimes a violation of my vows, the commandments, the law, and above all, the sacred trust that so many had put in me. Well, the judge, a man named Otis D. Wright, 77-year-old judge, has really, really struggled with this one. He said, I haven't slept in God knows how long. He said he is having a very hard time. He rejected the prosecutor's call for a 2-year term, saying he just couldn't do it. This is the worst thing she's done in her life. Well, it's the worst thing she's been caught doing.
Right?
Yeah. The judge said that she has been one heck of a teacher during her 62 years as a nun. I guess if one heck of a teacher steals nearly $1 million, and that's all she's just been caught doing, I mean, come on, man.
Right. Let's get real
Sorry.
here.
But if these are things that she got caught for, what else has she done?
You know there's more. There's got to be.
You know there's more. The judge said that he is owed where he is today in large part to a nun who inspired him early in life. During the sentencing, he had to take a break with his head buried in his hands for a minute to regain composure.
Oh, good Lord.
Mm-hmm.
This judge needs to be 86
Yeah.
out of there.
He's 77. It's time to go.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. They had lots of letters from former students and parents, some of which really wanted justice, who said that they struggled profoundly to be able to pay to have their kids in this school.
Right?
And the school itself was severely lacking in funds for basic needs. And the families
I
just kept being
wonder
told,
why.
kept being told that they just don't have enough money. But lots of families wrote in on her behalf, wanting to. They've already forgiven her. God has forgiven her. All is well. This whole thing just
Uh,
baffles me. When you look at what other people go through with the court system to see this situation,
well, and I don't really care if God forgave her.
mhm,
That's not how the criminal justice system works in this country. If you
mhm.
steal $800,000, your ass is gonna sit in some prison time.
One
So
guy
what did you
said he
get?
really wanted her to go to prison because he was terrified of her when he was in grade school, and said she was actually mean as hell and she should go to prison. Yeah.
Well, yeah, she was an excellent teacher. My ass, she was.
Mhm,
She stole that money from those kids
mhm,
in that school and the parents that paid to have them there. What the
mhm.
hell?
Yeah.
So what did she actually get for a sentence?
Well, as we know, the church did not want her to be charged, and they have assured the judge that the nuns have already sanctioned her and she's basically on house arrest with them. She can't go
Uh,
anywhere. She doesn't have any money. She's really not allowed any kind of luxuries whatsoever. I mean, life's already really hard for her. So they're taking care of it. Well, the judge managed to find it in himself to give her 1 year and 1 day in prison.
oh, for hell's sake.
Mhm. Now she'll be going to a low security, the judge himself called it Club Fed.
Oh, well, great.
He
I
said
mean,
he
I don't
figures
want her
she,
to be like abused or anything, but come on.
no,
She stole
but
$800,000 from her school. How,
mhm,
what kind of example is that to the kids that go to her
mhm.
school?
Yep, yep,
Mm, yikes.
right. And that's what some of the parents who did want to see her get serious jail time said. Our kids have completely lost faith in the Catholic Church because of this situation. And we think that the Catholic Church should divorce themselves from her and should make an absolute clear example out of her. But that's not what's happened at all. They have
No,
coddled
that
her.
is not what they do.
Mm-mm, mm-mm. As we know, this is what bothers me, okay? And I'm not accusing her of anything, but I will say this. If you're willing to steal nearly $1 million from that school, and that's
Yeah.
just what you got caught for, how many times did you turn your head when a priest touched a kid? How many
Right.
times did you touch a kid? How
What
many times did you see
other
other bullshit go down over your 63 years of education
yeah,
that you
that
didn't say
you
a
didn't
word
say
about?
anything.
Yep.
Yeah, what other
Sorry.
things did she cover up to protect
Yeah.
herself? Yikes.
Or someone else.
Not cool at all.
Monsignor said that when he confronted her about the discrepancies in the finances, that her first argument was that priests make a lot more than nuns do, and she just had to find a way to be compensated.
This is not how you do it, sister.
Mhm.
It's not how you get a raise. Oh my gosh.
It's a mess. But I couldn't help but bring it to you guys for WTF News when I saw none, embezzlement, $835,000, and gambling issue. Wow.
Dude,
Not things you expect to see in one headline.
not necessarily, no. But that is, wow. I
Hard wow.
definitely
Yep.
a WTF crime right there.
It is.
Yikes. Well, this is our Wednesday episode, so we will be back tonight at 7 p.m. Mountain for case updates. And as usual, there are quite a few of those. And then we'll be back on Thursday at 7 p.m. Mountain for the Psychic Hour. And both of those shows are live streamed on our YouTube channel and our Facebook page. However, you don't have to be there live because we post them after the fact as well. Just so you know, because I never know where you're listening from, you can always find us on YouTube, on Spotify, on Apple, and all other well-known podcast platforms. We're everywhere. So it's not hard to find us. If you found us in one place and would like to find us in somewhere different, just go looking for True Crime Paranormal. You will find us.
Yes, you
Because
will.
we are out there.
We're everywhere.
We're everywhere. Also, we're on Patreon, and we have lots of bonus content over on Patreon. If you become a patron, you get access to that. Plus, we do a couple of new cases every month. There's stuff on there that no one's seen unless you're on Patreon. There's some fun stuff. So, with that being said, we are True Crime Paranormal with the Psychic Sisters. Thanks for being here.
Take care.